this is the one that's actually the mobile truck gallery. This is the complete tying together of the ultimate artistic outcome for me. This is trucker women in the back of a truck.
Tell me where this idea, because I know this started back a couple of years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started shooting it at the end of 2017. So it's been a project that's been going on for a while. But the actual inspiration behind it goes back even further. It's like the first page of the book, when you open it up, says an ode to my mother, my first long haul heroine. And if everyone's first question is, "Oh, so your mom's a trucker?" I was like, "No, she wasn't a trucker." Then I had to tell the whole story. So the inspiration is from uh, my family. My parents got divorced. My mom hadn't worked in 18 years, and we found ourselves in a bit of a bumpy situation. And instead of just kind of waiting there for the worst to happen, my mom put my sisters and I, and there's four girls, and my mom, so we were suddenly a family of women. And she put us all in a family Transair van and drove us from Houston, Texas, where I actually am right now, to Ohio. And so a place where we'd never been before, but we knew we could afford to live, and we just rebirth their lives in a kind of a true American dream fashion. And it was that kind of movement and journey and traveling, watching my mother get stronger along the journey rather than more tired and weaker, the fact that she was taking control of her life. And that was like a really big kind of building block in my character that uh, this is the ability to take control of whatever your situation is, have resilience, and when things get tough, get moving. And that's the connection to all of these trucker women who are just so inspiring. And I didn't realize how inspiring they would all be until I actually started meeting them. And I was just like, wow, I've really got something here. And this is how it just kept rolling.
And so, this happened to you growing up, and then where did the idea form to do I know you're a photographer, but the project of photographing these women behind the wheel, where did that all come from?
Well, I was actually working as a fashion photographer. So my background's in fashion photography, celebrity photography. So I have a shiny aesthetic, I suppose. So I just for me, this project was just for me to make me happy. And like I was kind of, I needed a bit of a sorbet course refresher after all of my commercial work. And so I just decided one day, I was like, I fancy going on an adventure and meeting some trucker women and go shoot some portraits. And I didn't actually plan on showing them to anyone. And then after I shot a few of the women, I decided to record their stories at the same time because all of them had such amazing stories. And after collecting all this stuff, I was just like, I can't just let this sit here and be just for me. I have to share it with the world because the world needs to hear these women, their voices, and they're such a small part of a large male-dominated industry that this is kind of how this tour came about. This is the amplification of their world, their voices, to be seen, to be heard, to be recognized, celebrated. And yeah, this is where we are today, which is the kind of the dream.
And when you found these women and photographed them, where did you go to truck stops? How did you come across them?
Uh, yeah, so when I started the project, I decided, okay, I'm going to go and photograph some trucker women. I'd never met a trucker woman. I'd never actually met a trucker, but I figured my idea was I live in London. I'm London based, so I got a flight to Orlando, and I went and sat in a truck stop in Orlando for 3 days. No women came in. And I was like, where are they? And I didn't know the statistics then. I figured if I waited in a truck stop, of course, a trucker will come in through the trucker entrance and I can talk to them. And that didn't happen. It was actually the first trucker woman I saw, not that I got to talk to, was I was in my car outside that truck stop in Orlando. And I was kind of feeling a bit deflated, like, what am I doing in the middle of an Orlando truck stop for 3 days? And this isn't quite panning out as I planned. And I saw a trucker woman come out of the entrance, or so I missed her coming in. And then she walked across the parking lot, got into her truck. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's a trucker woman. So I leap out of my car. I go running over there. I'm waving my arms around, trying to get her to stop. Like, hi, trucker woman, speak to me. And of course, she kind of like looked at me like the crazy woman I was, waving my arms around in the middle of a truck parking lot, and kept going. And I was like, right, I need to approach this differently. So then to actually get the first woman, I just talked to everyone I knew. And I actually found it was my sister's old childhood friend who works for a trucking company who knew a trucker woman, and that was in Ohio. So I drove to Ohio, photographed my first woman, And then from there, it was like just gaining trust and then going through networks, social media, all of that, and it's snowballed from there. I think it's once you kind of gain the trust, they know what you're doing is completely kind of like true and pure. And I guess you have to earn trust in something like this. And I eventually got there.
Wow. What stood out to you the most, like when you met these women and you got to photograph them? What surprised, like you said, you didn't know a ton about trucking before. What surprised you the most?
um, I've, lots of things surprised me, I think. One, I didn't think they would have such kind of rich, amazing stories and lives, and I didn't think they would be very open with me. That's like my assumption when I got there. I thought I was going to have like, okay, you can take my picture and I'll maybe tell you what my favorite truck stop food is or something. But they just, yeah, brought me in. I sat in trucks with people and they told me their life stories and I told them my life story back. We had this kind of, yeah, like true communication, and it was different and beautiful. And I became a part of this community of women, which has stayed, and I still have them all. As I was going around, I added them to a Facebook group, Sisters of the Road Facebook group, which is a private group, and it's just for everyone in the book. And we've kept in contact the whole time. So through all the exhibitions in London and Europe and Australia and wherever this work is going, I'll be there, and I'll be there when the work is being hung, and I'll do a private view on the Facebook group, and they can all take part. Or if there's a projection room in the gallery, I ask the women to, uh, what would you like the exhibitors to hear from you? What would you like to do with this? And they will send me a video, and I'll project it in the projection room. Also, I'll have places where the exhibit visitors can write questions to the women, and then they answer it on my Instagram that evening. So there's so many lines of communication which they're included in, and really using this work to make a platform for them to be fully collaborative, and that this is half, I see as half being their work as well. It's not just mine, it's very much theirs, which is why, yeah, it had to come back to the America. That's like when I asked them what they wanted out of this, they say, excuse me, when I asked them what they wanted out of this, they say it has to come back into our world. This is going around the world. Everyone else is seeing this. We can see what's happening, but no one here knows it exists. And so this has always been the one mission for me, that I had to get it back into their worlds, because that's the promise I made them. So that's why this tour is so important and special, and I'm so pleased to be here.
Now, so are you from the US and then moved to London? How did that work?
Yeah, I'm kind of a yeah, I'm a combination. So my parents are English. I was born in Cambridge in England. My dad brought his business over to America, actually to Ohio when I was 4, and then grew up here until I was like 17, went back. And so I've been in England for like 20 years. But that's why I have this kind of like heart connection to America still. This is where uh yeah, I think where my best work has been made. There's something about your childhood roots that kind of seep out in your creativity that you can't really reproduce anywhere else, I don't think.
I'm curious. So when you got this idea to photograph women in trucking, why not, like, you came to the US to do that? Why come to the US to do that?
I have found women truckers in England, of course, as well, although it's actually an even smaller percentage. And still that was interesting, but it's not, and people are like, okay, so you've done the American female truckers now, and now you're going to do the UK, you're going to do Europe, you could go to Australia. And I was like, well, all those things would be fun, but that doesn't really have the artistic connection for me. For me, it's about the fact of this journey that my sisters and I made. This is like the core of it. My mom drove us across. It was from Houston to Ohio. This is why the American map is on the cover of the book. It's very much rooted in America, the American dream, the way that you can, particularly here, I think it's different, the way that you can rebuild, rebirth everything yourself if you have this vision and like the maybe gumption to do it, then it's possible. Like all things are possible. And for me, that's very much why I had to do it here. It's just a part of the story. I couldn't do it anywhere else.
And I saw, I believe it was on your Facebook page, a drawing of a truck that just had Sisters on the Road on the side. Was that kind of the inception of it all? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, no, that was the of course, I promised the women that I would get it into America and it has to come back into their world. And I'm actually traveling right now with my 9-month-old baby, which is making it even more interesting. So it's while I was pregnant, I actually had time. I was huge. I was stuck on the couch at home and I couldn't really do anything. I had time to think and sketch and just kind of daydream a bit. And so this is where that came out from. I literally drew that really bad sketch of a truck, wrote Sisters of the Road on the side, and then thought, oh, I got time. I might send off a couple emails. And then, yeah, here we are.
Traveling with a 9-month-old, anyone who's had kids, I cannot imagine doing what you're doing right now.
No, that was also his first flight from London to San Francisco was 11 hours and 10 minutes. And like we
Oh,
had,
wow.
and then we just drove from San Francisco to Houston, which took 5 days. And it's been an adventure already, and we're still only just getting started.
Oh my goodness. So this tour started, so this tour has gone elsewhere outside of the US. That's correct?
Yeah, not this specific tour built into like a semi-truck trailer. This is very specific to this tour, this American tour. The series, the artwork as a series, which of course is 40 portraits of American trucker women and their stories. And so it's been installations, it's been in traditional art galleries, it's been at festivals, art festivals. So Italy, Germany, like Berlin, and it's been to Scotland, it's been to Australia. So the work has traveled quite a bit. And of course, London, where I'm from too. But this is the one that's actually the mobile truck gallery. This is the complete tying together of the ultimate artistic outcome for me. This is trucker women in the back of a truck. The Debbie Dingo, who is the truck one of the truckers from the book, is actually driving the truck. And it's yeah, for me, it's perfect. This is my daydream.
And this started at the beginning of this month of March. And talk to me about what the plan is throughout the next few weeks.
We launched in San Francisco on March 1st, which was the first day of Women's History Month. So now we're in Houston, which we're about to launch tonight at Photo Fest, which is a big international photography festival. We'll be here until the 13th. And then we head off to Little Rock. After that, we'll be in Little Rock on the 16th, excuse me, which will be Idella Hanson's truck stop. Idella Hanson is like the icon of my series, but also like a huge deal, an icon in the trucking world. She's amazing. She's in her 70s. She's been trucking for like 57 years and she's incredible. So we're going there for a rededication ceremony and celebration of her, which is going to be one of the great stops. Really looking forward to. So that's on the 16th. You can check out the website. We'll update it with times once that's like all locked down. So come out and see us in Little Rock too. Um, the after that we go to Matt's, the Mid-American Truck Show, which it will be like the grand finale because I'm sure Matt's is huge. Anyone in trucking goes to Matt's. That's kind of like it's the big event of the year, and all the women will be there. And so that's going to be my favorite stop because I get to see everyone. I haven't seen everyone in the flesh in years, so it's going to be really cool.
Can you kind of, for those who might not get the chance to stop by and see this, describe what, when you walk into the trailer, what does it look like?
Sure. So when you actually so it's the trailer's wrapped. You can keep an eye out for a big golden yellow trailer traveling across. You might see it, take a picture, and then put it on Instagram and tag us because we'd like to see who's got eyes on. And then once you actually walk into the trailer, you go into a little vestibule area and then through some curtains, and then it looks like a high-end art gallery. It's been built really beautifully. And there's 8 prints of trucker women on Chromolux prints. So they're actually printed onto metal. I thought it was really important that these women's portraits who drive these huge metal rigs are actually immortalized on these huge metal prints, which they're 48-inch prints. They feel life size. And then you kind of walk through the trailer, and at the end there is a TV monitor screen where you can see the journey so far. You can see some of the women telling their stories. We have music from Bill Weaver, who's been at all of my installations across the world. He's a trucker, singer, songwriter, and a huge supporter of all these trucker women as well. So it's an immersive art experience. And yeah, come and check us out.
What do you hope these women feel, throughout this whole thing of getting photographed and just having a chance to have their voice heard and tell their story? What do you hope they feel throughout that?
Um, I suppose from a photographer perspective, like I come from a background of fashion and celebrity photography. So I'm trained, I went to London College of Fashion and trained in fashion photography. So that's where my skill set is. And within that, I use my skills to elevate whatever I'm taking. So if you think of Versace shoe, you photograph that person in a Versace shoe to elevate them. They're almost godlike. We have all these glossy ways of working to make these glossy images. And I think people have commented on the trucking images that I've made that it's like almost glossy meets gritty. And so but you can see my kind of traditional fashion photography, celebrity photography way of working seeping into this kind of documentary form that I've been working on. And so I hope that they feel elevated, like they feel celebrated, acknowledged, that proud. I hope they feel proud and just so much love has gone into this project and I have so much respect for these women and inspired by them. And that's the nice thing about photography. You get to share it with the world. And I hope everyone else can see this vision as well, that this kind of glow comes back to these women so they know how amazing they are, which they know.
I've seen a few of the pictures and they are absolutely beautiful. I think like gritty meets glossy is a great way of explaining that. I'm curious, how different was it? You said you photographed celebrities and models and whatnot. How different was it photographing, truck drivers from the ones I've talked to? They usually want to avoid probably any attention and that's why they drive. But what was that like?
Yeah, it was actually really refreshing. I thought refreshing would be the one word I'd use. I guess models and celebrities and things, they know how to work in front of the camera. They have this like shiny facade. They're used to being in front of the camera. It's like we have, like, as a fashion celebrity photographer, you have this kind of communication. We both know what's going on. Everyone knows what the deal is. And we just kind of, you get the glossy shot and then you kind of move on. And with these trucker women, there was no facade. There was just this like beautiful raw truth. And yeah, I loved it. It was something that I'm not shooting fashion right now anymore because I kind of feel like I can't go back to it right now because it's just I got so much out of this. So I'm kind of shifting over to documentary a bit more. So I guess that can tell you like how different and beautiful the experience was. It was just so good that I can't go back.
If anyone wants more information on the tour or the book, where can they go for that?
They can go to sisterstheroad.com. We've got our social channels, which is at Sisters the Road Tour. I also have some on like my channel at Anne Marie Michelle. Sisters the Road Tour. We've like an orange background, but you can see my bandana. We have this bandana, which is kind of like the symbol of sisterhood and solidarity. And we'll be handing out lots of these at Matt's, and we have some in the truck gallery if anyone wants to stop by. But yeah, grab yourself a bandana, take a picture, and hashtag we are SOTR, we are Sisters of the Road. And this is something that we really want to see beyond just this community. It's a really important, I guess, social movement, and to get these voices heard and help us go viral and make it a bit bigger. I guess it's also an important thing to mention on this is that, of course, this is in collaboration with Uber Freight, and which is such an amazing collaboration. It's really great to find someone who has like an aligned vision for. Obviously we approached with, this is kind of our crazy plan. What do you think? And it was important for us to find a collaborator who would really want to promote women in the industry. This is what we're all about. It's about the elevation, celebration of trucker women. And yeah, so we're really aligned on that. And of course, moving a truck is tricky. Getting a truck is tricky. So they were the ones that actually put wheels underneath this project. We couldn't go anywhere without that. And yeah, it's just been a really beautiful partnership. So it's great.